What's up, Average Dad fans? Welcome back to another video. Now today, I want you to close your eyes and imagine a time where Chinese foldables didn't exist. Well, if that were the actual case, we'd be left with two foldable options. This and this. Today, I'm going to compare the Google Pixel Fold against the Samsung Z Fold 5. Hardware and performance and everyday usability. I'm going to pit them against each other and see if we can come to some form of understanding as to which is best. Let's go. Now, luckily for us, we don't live in a world where Chinese foldable phones don't exist. We have phones such as the Xiaomi Mix Fold 3, the Honor Magic V2, and the Vivo X Fold 2. If you are looking to purchase one of those, I strongly recommend you check out the video I posted yesterday. This talks through the 3 key steps you have to take before importing a Chinese device. So I've got the card up there, I've linked it in description. After this video, check it out. And as a little added favour to me, if you are going to buy a Chinese foldable device, use my link in description to WONDA Mobile. It kicks back $10 to me. And if you pay via bank transfer, you'll get 3% off the cost of your device. Let's go on with the comparison. So first things first, let's compare displays. Both phones have two displays, an outer cover screen and an inner, much larger, tablet-style screen. The Pixel Fold and the Z Fold 5 couldn't be more different if they tried. The outer screen on the Pixel Fold is 5.8 inches diagonal. The outer screen on the Z Fold 5 is 6.2 inches diagonal. Now, when you hear those numbers, you think, well, the Z Fold 5 must be bigger. No. The Z Fold 5, because of its utterly stupid aspect ratio of 23 by 19, is, I imagine the best comparison is to pick up your remote control, and that's how holding the Z Fold 5 feels like. Whereas the Pixel Fold is more like a passport. Go fish out your passport, hold it in your hand. That's pretty much what the Pixel Fold feels like. And for me, the Pixel Fold's outer cover display is the winner. I'm going to leave my decisions on which screen I prefer until later on in the video when I talk about overall usability. But safe to say, both screens are fantastic on the outer display in that they're 120Hz, LTPO technology, super bright, super sharp, over 1500 nits of brightness, so you're going to see them in direct sunlight. Now moving on to the inside, again, things on paper seem fairly similar. The Pixel Fold is 7.6 inches, the Z Fold is 7.6 inches. However, the landscape orientation of the Pixel Fold is stark contrast to the more portrait orientation of the Z Fold 5. Both have their benefits. For example, multitasking vertically, that's obviously going to go to the Z Fold 5. It's like the phone was made for this. Consuming YouTube videos or content, that goes to the landscape orientation of the Pixel Fold. It just fits better. You're getting a more widescreen look, which I prefer. Both screens are 120Hz. They do go bright, but I have to say the Z Fold 5 with its 1750 peak brightness is far brighter than the Pixel Fold. That's not to say you're going to struggle per se in direct sunlight. And again, when I come to the overall usability, we'll discuss in a bit more detail, but display-wise, you're getting the best that's out there. They're foldable OLED technology, and it still amazes me that we have phones nowadays that fold. So, display-wise, if I had to give it to someone, purely because the screens get a bit brighter, let's give this round to the Z Fold 5. Now, moving on to the inside of the devices, let's talk about performance and battery life. So performance, again, stark contrast here. We have the Tensor G2 chip in the Pixel Fold, and we have the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 for Galaxy in the Z Fold 5. Essentially, it's an overclocked 8 Gen 2 chip. The 8 Gen 2 chip, in my opinion, is the best system on a chip, the best SoC that has been released. And yes, I even include Apple's Bionic chips in that. The A17 coming out next week might change my mind, but I have been blown away with every single device, from foldables to candy bar style phones and everything in between. The fact that the 8 Gen 2 chip can consistently perform in gaming, photography, battery, health and life, it's blown me away. The Tensor G2 chip is not bad, but if you are looking to game, it has to be the 8 Gen 2 chip. Now, non-gamers, so for productivity, for multitasking, for consuming content, you're not going to notice a change between these chips. These are two flagship chips, absolutely flagship, but there are certain hardcore tasks like video editing or rendering 4K or 8K content. The Z Fold 5 with the 8 Gen 2 for Galaxy chip is going to cope much better with. And no overheating issues. I will say that long periods of 4K video recording can make the Pixel Fold slightly warm to the touch / hot. Now, battery life on both is... Calm down. I know you all think that the Tensor G2 chip is horrendous. I've seen some rare myths going around that the battery life on the Pixel Fold is poor. It's not. Sorry to disappoint you. With the 4400 mAh battery in the Z Fold 5 being smaller than the milliamp hours in the Pixel Fold, it actually brings them both almost on a par. Now, I've mentioned already that 8 Gen 2 chip is unreal. You're going to be more confident in 2-day battery life with the Z Fold 5 than you will be on the Pixel Fold, but both can do it with light to medium usage. For heavy usage, the G2 will die first, absolutely, but it will last a full day of even the heaviest usage, I would say. I mean, you have to be glued to your phone for 12 hours gaming to kill either of these phones in just a single day. Now, when it comes to charging these batteries, they're very similar. You've got 25 watts wired charging on the Z Fold 5 and 30 watts wired charging on the Pixel Fold. Both charge 15 watts wirelessly with 5 watts reverse wireless charging. I personally don't care much for the fast charging speeds. While it's nice to have, listen, I've got an iPhone. I've used iPhones for years. I'm used to 18 watt, 20 watt, 25 watt charging. So the fact that these can charge in a couple of hours while I'm sleeping overnight and I wake up in the morning, it's 100%, I'm fine with that. And for a bit extra boost, I can pop it on a wireless charger throughout the day if needed. So for battery life and performance, it's not as big a gulf as some people think, but I do have to, again, give this round to the Z Fold 5. Now to round number 3, if you like. If this was a fight, the Pixel Fold is certainly against the ropes, but fear not. The camera round surely has to go to the Pixel, yeah? Well, let's talk about the camera specs first. Triple camera setup on both. Wide, ultra-wide, and telephoto on the Samsung, that's 50 megapixel wide, 12 megapixel ultra wide, and 10 megapixel telephoto with 3 times optical zoom. If that sounds familiar, it is. It's the exact same camera system from the Z Fold 4. Disappointing, yes. However, there has been an improvement due to processing. There is 4K video recording on all lenses on the rear and on the front-facing camera. That is one thing that these two phones have in common that most Chinese foldable phones don't. For whatever reason, they all cap themselves at 1080p, but they don't exist in this dream scenario, so let's not talk about them. So yeah, the Pixel Fold is also, as mentioned, triple camera setup with 4K recording on all lenses. However, this Third lens is a periscope zoom lens. It's not 3 times optical, it's 5 times optical. And if anybody knows anything about Google Pixel magic when it comes to post-processing, it's almost unparalleled. I would say the iPhone and the Samsung are close, but for me, the Pixel consistently produces the best images. So here's some examples taken from both photos and videos. You can let me know in the comments what you think, and I'll give you my overall summary of the cameras after. So for me, the Pixel wins the camera round. It has to be 2-1. We have to. I will take some debate, but not too much. The Pixel looks more natural, in my opinion. The Samsung is somewhat saturated and sometimes over-sharpened. The 5x periscope zoom lens on the Pixel, I had the Xiaomi Mix Fold 3 back in that real world where Chinese phones existed, and it's got a 5x periscope zoom lens, but with that post-processing that Google can do, the 5x zoom lens on this is, on any foldable device, it's the best. And the main camera, 48 megapixel wide, and the ultra-wide cameras just look stunning. Video recording's very much similar, I would say. Again, if anything, there was a bit more saturation in the Samsung, but guys, we're in 2023. If you're buying a flagship device, you're essentially buying a DSLR or mirrorless camera in your pocket, because that's what these are. I no longer own a Sony camera to film content. I use a smartphone to do all these comparisons, and obviously using photos on day-to-day life or social media, I use a smartphone. So, it's 2-1, and we're going in to the final round. Yes, that sounds odd because we might get a draw, but bear with me. So the final round is usability. What do I mean by that? Well, how are you using your foldable phone day to day? If you're not unfolding the device, then why are you buying a foldable phone? If you can't use the outer screen, then that's an issue. And that's where I want to start. Usability for me is convenience as well. So when I am walking, for example, and I get a text message or a WhatsApp, I want to take out my phone and I want to be able to reply while on the move, on the cover screen. It's rare that you see someone walking along and then decide to unfold the device to do their typing. The cover screen is far more convenient, and I'm sorry to say that with my big hands and fat thumbs, the 23 by 19 aspect ratio on the Z Fold 5 is just too narrow. And for me, the aspect ratio on the outer screen in the Pixel Fold is absolutely spot on. I love this. One-handed typing is absolutely fine. You can hold the phone with one hand. You can get your thumb to any point of the screen, left or right. Some gymnastics to get to the top right enough, but that's definitely true for the Z Fold 5 as well. But again, convenience-wise, not having to unfold the phone when you're on the go or every time you want to reply to a message, the Pixel has to be the best for the cover screen. Now, usability on the inner screen, if we're just looking at pure screens, I prefer the Pixel due to the landscape orientation, but that's because I mainly use it for content. I sometimes use multitasking, and when it comes to multitasking for everyday use, if that's high on your priority, while both phones can split screen and have floating windows, the Samsung has way more versatility, and as part of usability, it's so easy. You can swipe in from the side with 2 fingers to activate split screen. You can pull up an app from the taskbar. You can swipe diagonally from the top corner. There are so many cool and handy ways to access multitasking. You can do it vertically, horizontally. You can have 2 floating windows. You can resize the multi-screen windows. The Samsung with One UI software absolutely wins, and I've said this before when it comes to multitasking. For my use case scenario, because the Pixel Fold can multitask quite well, just not as good as the Samsung, but it does have that landscape orientation, I personally am erring towards the Pixel Fold when it comes to usability. So, if that's the case, in my scoring system, I have it a draw. And folks, to summarise, it is a draw. There's very, very little to take away from these two. Both have their positives, their negatives, their pluses, and their minuses. It's all about you. You're obviously in the Android ecosystem because you're choosing these two. iOS don't have a foldable device yet. So if we take away the ecosystem part, it really is up to you. Do you prefer a larger cover screen, or do you prefer being able to multitask super easily with more software optimization and customization because Samsung has the incredible Good Lock app? So that was that. Ultimately, it's a draw in my opinion. You make the decision. If there's one other factor that you think might play a part, is price. It doesn't. They're the same price. £1,750 to £1,800 in the UK or dollars in the US. So they're similarly priced. So they are similarly priced. So that doesn't come into it. Yeah. It's up to you. If you've enjoyed this content and you want to see more comparisons, like a full camera comparison, smash subscribe and let me know in the comments. While you're down there, make to hit the like button because that helps the algorithm. And yeah, until next time.